I heard a sound I had never heard before, a snap from inside my own body. I was holding 135 pounds across my shoulders, same weight as my entire body. I had done this exercise 100 times, and then I hadn't warmed up quite right, and something in my lower back said, enough. I tried to walk it off. I ignored it for 3 days. The pain got worse every morning until I couldn't ignore it anymore. The doctor looked at the scans. He looked at me, and then he said something I was not prepared to hear. You will never practice Kung Fu again. That was August 13th, 1970. I was 29 years old. Everything I was, everything I had built, everything I was planning to become, it all lived in a body that had just been told it was finished. I want to tell you what those 6 months on my back actually taught me, because what I found lying there, unable to move, unable to train, unable to do the only thing I had ever known, I couldn't have found it any other way. But first, I need you to understand something about the man who was lying in that bed, because he wasn't the person you think you know. I had been training since I was 13 years old, every single day. If I wasn't training, I was thinking about training. My identity, my confidence, my sense of what I was worth in the world, all of it was connected to what my body could do. Take that away and you don't just lose your career. You lose the story you've been telling yourself about who you are. For the first 3 days in that bed, I didn't write anything. I didn't read anything. I just lay there and felt the size of what had happened. Linda was there. She tried to help. I didn't want help. I wanted my body back. And the more I understood that wanting it didn't make it come back, the worse those days became. Then something shifted. Not dramatically, not the way it happens in stories, just quietly, the way most real things actually change. I reached for a book. I have always been a reader. My library had over 2,000 books before the injury. Philosophy, psychology, anatomy, fencing manuals, boxing technique, everything I had spent years collecting because I believed knowledge was a form of training. Lying in that bed with nothing to do, I started actually reading them instead of just collecting them, and I started writing. Not practicing, not demonstrating, just writing. What do I actually know? What have I been assuming is true that I have never stopped to question? What is the real foundation underneath everything I have built? Because right now I can't move, and I need to know whether what I believe about fighting, about life, holds up when I strip the body away completely. The first thing I wrote, a fighter who depends entirely on his physical ability has no real foundation. Because bodies fail, bodies get injured, bodies age. If everything you are lives in what you can physically do, you have built your house on something that will eventually be taken from you. I was lying there as proof of exactly that. So what is the foundation? That became the question I spent 6 months answering. Not what can I do, what do I understand? Because understanding, once you have it, cannot be taken by an injury, cannot be taken by age, cannot be taken by a doctor's diagnosis. It lives somewhere the fourth sacral nerve cannot reach. I filled 8 notebooks, 2 inches thick each. Everything I had ever discovered about how the body moves, how the mind operates under pressure, what separates a fighter who can adapt from a fighter who can only execute what he has practiced. I had known these things with my muscles for years. Lying in that bed, I learned them with my mind. And the versions I learned with my mind were deeper. Here is something that will sound strange. Those 6 months were some of the most productive of my life, not despite being unable to move, because of it. The stillness forced on me from outside became a stillness I couldn't have found from inside. I had been too busy, too physical, too convinced that movement was the answer to stop long enough to understand what I was actually doing when I moved. Linda went to work during this time. She got a job to support the family while I was unable to work. I told her she didn't need to do that. She did it anyway. I want to be honest about that. A man who taught others about humility needed his wife to demonstrate it to him while he was lying unable to get out of bed. They were dark days. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Days when I lay there and genuinely didn't know if the doctors were right. Days when I wondered what the point of everything I had built was, if one bad morning in August could end it. I let myself feel those days. I didn't fight them, and they passed. That itself was a lesson. Resistance to pain extends pain. I had been taught this about fighting. Don't tense against the impact, receive it, redirect it. But I had never applied it to the experience of suffering. Lying there with nowhere to go and nothing to do, I finally understood that the principle works everywhere, not just in the training hall, everywhere. After 3 months in bed, I started moving around the house, carefully, slowly. Every step was a negotiation between what I wanted to do and what my body was willing to do. I had always been the fastest person in any room. Now I was slower than my own children. That is a specific kind of humility that I recommend to no one and would not trade for anything. I came back to training after 6 months, not because I was fully healed, because I had given myself enough time and I couldn't stay still any longer. The doctors had said never. I decided to find out if they were right. They were not, but my back gave me pain for the rest of my life. Every day, every performance, every film. Enter the Dragon was filmed 3 years later. Every kick you see in that film was thrown by a man whose lower back hurt constantly. I didn't mention it because it wasn't relevant. You do the work in front of you with the body you have, not the body you wish you had. That is not inspiration. That is just the only option that exists. The Tao of Jeet Kune, the book that carries everything I understood about martial arts, was written in that bed, not in a training hall, not in a moment of physical. In 6 months of enforced stillness by a man who had just been told his fighting life was over. The injury didn't interrupt the work. The injury was where the most important work happened. What I want to leave you with is this. You will have a day like August 13th, 1970. Maybe you already have. The day when something snaps. When the thing you built your identity around suddenly isn't available to you. When the doctor or the circumstance or the failure says, this particular version of you is finished. That day is not the end. That day is the room where you find out what you're actually made of. When the physical evidence of your ability has been temporarily removed, pick up the pen, fill the notebooks, ask the questions that movement was too loud to let you hear. Because the foundation you build in that stillness is one that no injury, no diagnosis, no circumstance can reach. I know, because I built mine there, flat on my back, in the quietest 6 months of my life, and everything that came after was built on top of it.